I come from a poor family, yeah. We ain't never had a lot, yeah. But the Lord been good to us, yeah. Now we riding on the top, yeah. I come from a poor family, yeah.
Good morning, guys. Welcome back to ATN, The Boat Podcast.
Builder of
all things.
things.
Guys, we've been busy. It's been a busy. It's been a busy season, guys. For those who regularly listen to this podcast, we just want to maybe apologize, but say thank you for your patience. Yes. How about that? We thank you for your patience. We're just getting kind of back from the busy season. I keep saying busy. Busy season.
Busy is right?
Busy.
You can say it how you want, man. We
busy.
We live in a slang world. You can say
we live in a
We
slang world.
busy.
That's a t-shirt, bro. We live in a slang world.
we do. Hey, we always coming up with stuff.
Well, guys, we've been
Copyright.
super busy, and one of the biggest reasons why, besides Richie, tightening things up in the business and Tiffany tightening things up in the office area, but yeah, we got hit up by a big known network that's
Production company. And they got connected with. I mean, they have connections.
Yeah.
With a big network.
Yeah. And they seen some stuff that we produced with Coffee and Carpentry, and it was a blessing. I don't know. You guys want to talk about that?
Yeah, actually, it was almost exactly a year ago. We got the phone call.
Time flies.
It
Huh?
was April. Yeah, 2022.
Wow.
I think.
So funny.
Wasn't? Yeah, 2022.
22.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yep. I remember. Oh, there's another reason too. Is we took a project in California, Southern California. So that was a
Big project.
Yeah.
big project, which will be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. But it was such an experience. But can we dive into that? And
Yeah.
how was the experience for you guys?
I'll kick it off a little
Please.
bit just to help facilitate.
Yeah.
But I got a phone call in April from a production company. We're not going to use any names because just where we've landed, we just want to respect and honor them entirely. They've been amazing. I've learned a lot. And through the experience, me and Tiffany definitely want to share, what we've learned being I don't know how to even start the kickoff, but basically, dealing with
Through the process.
Yeah, through the process and a production company and the culture of the mainland and coming here and how to bridge that gap. It's just been a experience and a very very educational experience for us, and definitely want to highlight on those things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we got the phone call. It was really cool. Honestly, I'm just gonna say that. Not like to brag or anything like that, but it's like the 6th, 7th, or 8th phone call that we got from production companies.
When you said not to brag, I was looking at Tiff. She
I
gave
did
me
the same thing. I was like,
"This guy."
she keeps me modest. She keeps me modest, and not that I need to be kept modest, but that's why I love this woman. She will not allow me to have a puffed. That's the right word, right? Puffed. To be puffed up in any way. So she'll be the first one to ground me.
Yep.
Is probably the best word.
But not to brag.
Not to brag.
Yeah.
We get calls. We have gotten calls a lot. I think it's not necessarily just because of me and Tiffany, but I think it's just, number one, it's the island of Hawaii, right? It's like mainland production companies.
People want to see it.
Yeah, especially in this whole DIY renovations, new home construction and design. All this is very popular with Pinterest and HGTV and all these different bigger networks and platforms where people are interested in seeing the involvement behind the scenes and certain things like that. So I think that, number one, is the island, and then number two is I think we got a cool thing going, all things new, and when they go research companies and see what we're doing, I think it just is like it takes 2 checks off the checkbox list for a production company is like location, casting and platform. Like it's like boom, boom, boom. We hit 3 right away. So, so we got the call from a really, I think almost top production company there is in this. And one of the top dogs, and their process and how they do everything, you could tell they've done this. I mean, they got top networks in their cell phone, like quick text call. You don't got to do like a whole email process. They do a lot. So that got our attention. You know, it's like, whoa, let's see what this is about. Tiffany may share a little bit more about this, but she's not really. I mean, when it comes, she's not really.
I'm waiting for the word.
Oh man.
Well, I'm sure there's I'm sure you guys have. I mean, there's two different minds, and you guys are perfectly in sync together, but. Those two opposite, those are two opposite
we're
views.
Balanced.
Yeah, it's nice. Yeah,
we are. What I was gonna say is like when it comes to TV shows or things like that, she's more private, right? That's all I was gonna say. Is me, I'm a little more. I don't mind. Like I'll just get in front of a camera and just tell my whole life.
Yeah, I know there's certain things you don't want to put online. So yeah, Tiff, what were your reservations when they came in and were like, hey, let's collab or this partner?
Well, for me, it's basically I want to protect my family. Yeah, the privacy of my family, and not so much my grown children, but like the little ones. I'm very just because the way the world is today,
for sure.
I try to be very careful and always mindful of what's being put out there.
Yeah. And that's a top reservation. Yeah.
Yes.
Were there other ones that were like kind of like still important to you, or
Well, I think.
big?
I think in the aspect of when when you're on TV and people see you, of course, that comes with a lot of things. You get noticed. People dive into your personal life, dive into you, and they kind of like look at you with a magnifying glass. And I don't really enjoy that.
What she's scared of is like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think like if we get on a TV show, she doesn't believe like we're just going to be a hit and miss. She believes that like we're going to do good and then it's going to get a lot of traction. And then that's where she doesn't want to be. I mean, she wants to deliver things to the world, but not bring too much attention to herself. But I love that about her.
I mean, there's a reason they reach out to you. You guys are, in that case, I want to, because I'm trying to think of why they would have reached out to you guys. And like you said, it ticked a lot of things.
Yeah, there's a lot of boxes checked. I think what I loved the most was they didn't have a show in mind. They really just they were asking a lot of questions and letting the story develop. So we got to be a little bit of the narrative in that, which I like because it was natural. So we were creating a show just by looking at our process here in Hawaii. Kind of projects we have, and just let a story develop. The first, I don't know, hit the position he had, but I don't know, reach out person, cast director, I don't know what they call it.
The
Scout. Who found us. He basically took it to the top of the developing team, and they were sold. He put a little thing together. So then we had to go through a whole couple months, 3 months of interviews and all kind of stuff, and our team and pictures and videos, and they put together a little reel and sent that up to the main owners, and everyone just loved it. So then they put together another couple months of putting together I don't know what you call it, a sizzle.
Yeah.
And then they sent that out to one of the top networks, out there, and they loved it. So it just kept.
And we were under contract this whole time, which is why we couldn't really talk about it.
Yeah, that's a good point, honey. It's it was in a place where we couldn't really post much. Say much. And so we've just been kind of doing amazing things behind the scenes, but we're, when we get done with this podcast, you'll know that we're ready to post again.
Ready to rumble.
So, but yeah, it's, we just went through a lot of videos, or the sizzle got sent, and this big network loved it. And so the next phase was checking off the last check box, and really, what was it like? The last box that they couldn't, where they were trying to check was
promoting home?
No.
Or-
It was the catch or something. Like there has to be.
You're talking about the end, the hook.
The hook.
Yeah.
That's what it was. That's the word I'm
hook.
looking for. The hook. So they found the hook, and basically the production company put all their bells and whistles. So they sent out all their top dogs,
It was
camera, video crews. It was pretty fun. We got to film a whole like pilot. I don't know if it's a pilot or a strong sizzle.
Yeah,
sizzle.
strong
Yeah,
episode
strong-
sizzle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Basically, it's what an episode would look like, and and I know there's a couple other companies that's probably been through the same process, and it was fun. I love that kind of stuff. So, what was your experience with it?
Yeah, during the filming, well, I'm kind of curious.
Well, it was. I'm an introvert, so being in front of, I can do it. It's possible for me to do, but it takes a lot of energy. I don't really feel comfortable. So, I mean, it was a great experience. It was fun, but it was also really draining for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the people, and that's, I think, the best thing that it was. I got to meet some really cool people, enjoy the process, seeing the process. That was amazing. Knowing that we can actually do the same thing.
Yeah, that was another part of it. Thanks for bringing that up. Is we can do that. I mean, I mean, these are like top dogs, and they are, and they deserve everything they've done. But I mean, yeah, we're right there. So that was pretty encouraging. But it's nice to let somebody else just lead that. That was that was good. But behind the scenes, I mean, me and Tiffany, we're wrestling. Meaning like with her energy levels, everything we got going on, the California job,
Right.
trying to finish that off, and just with the market the way it is, and trying to just survive the boat in what's happening in the world, and then we got this filming thing, and then just thinking about this filming thing. I mean, Tiffany's like this. I'm at a place where it's like a hard no, like she was, and I think it was literally that morning. Was it that morning? I mean, you have to share, like when God really kind of gave you the strength to say yes and give this an opportunity.
Yeah. I think it was the day before, the night before, and I was like, I just can't do this. Because it was also compromising a lot of things that I believe in as a Kanaka, right?
Were we there yet, or was that after the first filming? I'm thinking before that.
Well, it happened several times. That's why.
Oh,
Yeah.
things were already happening.
Yeah.
Boy,
Yeah.
think-
So I kind of said no, and I shared with you, Ray, through the whole process. I was just like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
It's just, we have so much on our plate. We have so much going on.
Yeah.
So several times it happened, and the last time was right before we were going to shoot.
Yeah. So I think I think we had a big husband and wife conversation the day before, and I put my plea out. Like, well, I believe that, give it a shot and see where the cards land, and then we can make a decision. Because really at this point it was all investment. So that was another hard part, is like, when does this become like
profitable?
Profitable is not really the goal, I think, but it definitely needs to make take care of our time. Our time is valuable, right? So
Sure. Yeah.
I didn't mind investing to a point, but it is a business at the end of the day for them and for us. And so like we got, to me as a production crew, you have maybe 20%, we have 80. We're the cast, we're the island, we're the platform, we're the one throwing ourselves out there. So we knew like there would be a business talk, and that we know from their side too, there would be there. And I didn't mean to throw percentages out there, but that's our value in our heads, it's like we understand like our value, but we never been through this process, so we're going to invest up to a certain point, and that was what we came in agreement with that night, was like we're going to let them do this sizzle. But then, like, we've already invested a year, right? So and I know the production company is investing as well. They're not getting, maybe they got a little chunk to come to Hawaii from the network, but I don't think they're making much. They're investing as well. So I think there was that. I think there was that investment partnership, and so we both came in agreement that night. Like, let's give this. This is the last run. This pilot sizzle thing. So we went in, and like you said, Tiffany, they were amazing people. Got to actually meet them in person versus video call.
Yeah.
I wish I could say their names. Every single one of them were great. And just going through the experience is so much fun, man. I enjoy just bringing to life, documenting and sharing. I want to share, and I love doing that. So it was fun for me. I think you were having fun too. I loved watching you. You were amazing, actually.
Tiff was really good.
She
I was there for
really
some of the
good.
days, but like you said, it takes
a lot of energy.
Yeah, it takes a lot of energy.
Yeah, I can do it. It just takes a lot of energy.
So you guys go through this the last day of filming. What was the outcome, or how did you guys feel after after everything was said and done? Filming's done. What were you guys feeling?
Well, I'm gonna let Tiffany take the lead on this. I'm just gonna give a little bit of foundation, but I remember day one, there was already some. I mean, there was already some conflicting
Things.
Guidance happening. And she'll probably give a little more detail, and then I'll piggyback. But day one, she started feeling a certain way.
Yeah.
And she was expressing it to me, and then I'm there patting her on the back, like, hang in there, hang in there. And then we go through day two. It just kind of went south. I think is probably the best word on what we were receiving. And then I'm gonna let her share.
Yeah.
And then piggyback off that. Share.
I'm really totally drawing a blank as to what you're
So
referring
I think the first.
Yeah.
The first day of filming, I was there for some BTS, and there was, I don't know, I could be wrong, but for me there was one point, because there's someone coaching you on what to say and how things points to hit, right?
Yes.
There was one particular dialogue,
yes,
that kind of tilted my head, and I was like, I don't know about that, because I don't think you want people to know that Hawaii is for
those things.
Yeah.
I think you just you put the elephant out. Was it the elephant in the room? What's the elephant in the room?
Sure.
The elephant in the room is we live on an island, and we're very. When I say even, not only we, but Tiffany is part of a culture, born and raised, not only a local but a Hawaiian, and there's a respect and a sensitivity, right to history and where we are today. And I think there was just that ignorance. Is probably the best word I could think of. It wasn't like intentional. It was just need to be some education, which we learned later. But I do want to share, like, if you don't mind, honey, if you can share, like, what were those things, and where did that take you emotionally, and where do we end up?
Is that popping up some?
It's memories? Really like I'm drawing a real blank as to.
Well,
I know that
we
there
can
were.
help you.
I know.
We could revisit.
I know there were like I remember little things like the shoes, not taking off the shoes to go in the house.
Well, I think day one. Okay, I'm gonna help you. Help you.
Help him, Richie.
Help her.
Hepler.
Memory's bad.
I think number one was what we learned on day one was we really lost control of the narrative. So the way the producer works, which I understand, I'm a producer, he basically had all the dialogue, just wanted us to say it in his way. And then when we went through that motion, we realized what was being communicated made you feel like an ornament versus an actual.
Yeah, I remember using that word.
Yeah, you felt like I think the direct words were, because you are local, you can take us parts of the island that other people can't to get things that they can't.
Get the resources.
Which would sound cool in any other place, but here you can't. You got to be careful because I keep saying we because I've been here 20 years. I'm married to a Hawaiian.
You Kanaka in your heart.
I'm Kanaka in my heart, but we have to protect the Aina, and sometimes not to say that all is not welcome, and that's kind of really where God took us on this and where we're going to go with this. But felt like as I learned here locally, you got to protect the Aina because a lot of times it gets disrespected. So you have to be able to. It's almost like you put up a gate, but it has a door. Like don't just come in unless you come to the door and read the rules. Like, you know how you enter a pool and they have the pool rules?
Yeah.
And then you have the code and you can get in.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like, that's how I think the heart, am I right? Is that kind of a good analogy? You'll probably go better. I just feel like you gotta be educated. I mean, you can just jump the fence, come in, but obviously if you don't read the rules, you're not gonna respect the pool.
You've
right?
already disrespected it by jumping over the fence.
I knew that was coming.
Well, I know the first day, one of the things that, and I visibly saw you kind of like, like there's a shift in your aura or whatever. It was because there were the words used, getting like a piece of the land.
Oh yeah.
Does that strike?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
my
that's
my whole countenance, right? I was just like,
And I think after that we were on the side and I go, hey Tiff, I think we talked about it.
Yeah.
And I've visibly seen the change, but I think, can you kind of talk about that?
Well, like he was saying, being a native Hawaiian, that's the last thing that you
Want to hear?
Yeah, you want to hear, or you want people to perceive, or you want other people to think, right? Is to think that you can just come out here and get a piece of something, which, if you know the true history, which is like what he was saying, and the things that the Hawaiians had to go through, coming here to just come and get a piece of the land or buy, it's just, there's a lot of understanding that has to go into that, I think, that I feel like, and this could be a whole nother podcast,
Right.
Is the purchasing of the land out here and selling it to people from Singapore. And like, there's all these things in the news about all these people who own acres and acres of land, is basically just sitting there.
Yeah.
And, Kanaka have nothing. And that goes way back into when the, everything was overthrown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like Richard said, it wasn't intentional. It was just kind of like, they just don't know.
They're just doing their job.
Yeah, they're just doing their job.
He's producing, and he's seen a good hook.
Yeah.
And it is a good hook if you think about it outside of the elements
locals
that we have,
yeah,
right? I mean, it makes sense. Like, man, there's like this beautiful, amazing paradise land, and we have like, if you connect with Tiffany, you got to connect. That sounds like all good on the surface, but there's just so much history, and culture and presence, present time now, that you just got to be educated on and understand. So we just went through the motions, and in our head, I think we both had our own checkbox that said, oh yeah, we're going to talk to them.
We just kept making mental notes.
Yeah, there's just mental notes.
Yeah.
And I think day one went pretty fluid after that. And then we went into day 2, where we went to a home, local home with locals, and talked about one of our projects. And very first thing, man, we took off all our shoes to go in. That's typical, culture thing here, and it's a respectful thing to do. And they made us put our shoes on and walk in the house. And so I was like, is this the time? Nah. It's like, so it was just little things that were happening. We were just taking notes, but honestly, and I think in my head was all like, it was easily forgivable, because we deal with that all the time. When I even have family that come out, I got to tell them, like I just knew the conversation was coming. So there was no offense or anything like that. But I think we had local hires.
I felt like I had a responsibility to let people know.
That's what was stirring in your heart. I think all those were, very low fruit for us, honestly. Yeah. But I think the big thing that happened was
on day 2.
Was one of the local production managers that got hired. Yeah. Started talking with Tiffany kind of on the side, and was just like saying, hey, I do this all the time with a lot of production companies. I've worked with these guys before. I did not want to do this.
She refused.
She refused to do this.
Let's let Tiff tell the story.
Yeah. So she told me that she refused, and I said, why? And she said, because of the title of the show. And she's a Kanaka. And so she does not just shows with this production company, but they do Hawaiian, like actual cultural shows, fly over the place to other islands, interview like these just really cultural, deep in the culture. And so it was a struggle for her. And she actually had told her partner of the company, she said, I don't want to do it because of the title of the show. And we were unaware at that point in time.
Yeah. And Richie didn't know because you learned this first.
Yeah.
When did you tell Rich, or when did Rich?
When did I tell you, honey?
Was
were
it
we
the
in
same?
the car? When we were in the car,
We're gonna reveal what that name was, right? Are we allowed to do that? I mean, everything's done now. We didn't talk about that.
I'm twisting the wire.
But I think I'm gonna do it because I
Just
didn't sign any contract that says I
to
can't
not disclose that
not to
part.
disclose
Yeah.
that, and I want to make sure it's not used in the future.
True,
Yeah.
true.
So I don't mind saying it. Man, we're really building this up, huh?
I'll have you guys both say it in 3, 2.
No.
I gotta
was
make
ready.
sure. Yeah.
But yeah, I think just to keep talking about it, when to answer your question, she shared with me, and I was just like, oh heck no. And I'm and I'm not born and raised here, but I came here early enough. I think I was 20, and I'm
20.
Yeah, so I'm about to reveal my age by saying this information. I've been here long enough to a couple decades to know that the feel of that name, I just knew, like, that's a no.
That was a heck no.
And they didn't, and if you guys are watching production company people, we've already had our conversation, and we love you. You
We
guys
love
are
you guys.
super
100%.
awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, what I do want to honor and praise is how they handled our conversation.
Once we told them. Yeah.
Because what we did is we prayed. I mean, honestly, there was offense at first. I mean, it
wasn't toward them.
it was just like, offense is not the right word. It was more of like, it was a botherment though, for real. Like, we were bothered by the name. And
It's a name to be bothered by. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
I think it is. So we prayed, we seeked, and God spoke and gave us the leading on what to do next. And what to do next was let them know, call them, and have a video meeting and share everything. So the name of the show, you want me to say it, or you want to say
Sure.
it? Was Owning Oahu. And the hook was people from the mainland could find a source, which is us, to get to own a piece of Oahu. And why that is so a big no-no is because the land was stolen. Just to be like straight, the land was stolen from locals. So Hawaiians. And so to have people that aren't from here come and keep taking pieces of land continuously, which is, we're going to go into the God part of this, but it's you just can't, it's just not good to the heart. Like, not only did I steal that, but I'm coming to own some more. It's like, I don't know how to even more expand on that. It's like, you want to expand on that name?
No.
I mean, from a Hawaiian position, how was that, you feel, how was that received?
It wasn't received well at all.
Right.
I was shocked. It's just a bunch of mixed emotions, you know? Because I'm trying to see everything from the perspective, the other side perspective. But at the same time, you know, there's like a wound, right? There's a wound because of the history and what happened. So then that's like really hurt, and then you feel like you need to protect. So it was a bunch of different things. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember we were at Ali'i Coffee getting some coffee. Plug you, buddy.
We love James.
Yeah, James Ali'i Coffee. We're getting some coffee, and she was waiting on some food, and I called a Kanaka here on the island from the west side, and wanted to ask him for some advice because he's in the production world. Like, how do you? This is the situation we're in. This is the information we got. Like, what's your recommendation on how to handle this, because you deal with this a lot. A lot of production companies come in here and they got to go through him, and he has a contract that he makes them sign. What is it called?
Kuleana contract.
A Kuleana contract that basically is like the pool rules, right? It's not really. It is kind of. Is it rules how his is laid out, or more of just an understanding?
It's an understanding.
Yeah, it's an education contract, really, what it is. And you're basically signing it just to say, I'm going to honor, I'm going to work hard to understand this more and to live by this while I'm here. And he just said, man, thank you for sharing, Richie. Man, I love your heart, bro. He said, if not you, then who? Like, I'm so glad that you and Tiffany are actually the ones in this position, because if it's somebody else, that name might go through.
All right.
Right, so who better than you guys? He said, but, true aloha is we never want to like put a fence up with people, right?
Yeah.
And that's where God started speaking and saying, like, he always wants to be open to people. He loves people. And that's the true Hawaiian way. It's aloha and loving people. And yeah, we've been hurt. Our history's been hurt. People been stolen, but we're still going to stand and show aloha. And I'm just good. He said, but it's our responsibility to educate them. Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is good. And I'm like, Tiffany needs to be on this phone call. Cause so I went to her and I told her who I called and talked to. And she was like, what did he say? And I was like, I can't give you that. It can't come from me. I can call him back. And she was like, nah. And then so God spoke to her, and maybe you could share your side, but said the same exact thing, and now in my head, when she started sharing, I just started tearing up. Wow, that's word for word. It's like y'all is connected, Bluetooth, because that's exactly what I heard. And I just smiled, and she's like, why are you smiling? I was like, that's exactly what.
You know what is so crazy is I barely remember any of this.
Oh man, you moved on.
I'm really.
She moved on.
Yeah, and this wasn't that long ago, by the way. This is just you moved on, because God spoke to Tiffany and said the same thing, right? He said, what did God speak to you?
The part that I do remember is that I was struggling, and God told me, "Who are you to say who I can send and who I cannot?"
That's the big one. Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't, I'm struggling, God, with all of this, these, because the wounds in us, as Hawaiians, it's deep, right? But God just shut me down. He was like, you limiting me. You are limiting me. So I was like, just broke down in tears.
So I think the challenge for most Hawaiians is when somebody from a different country or the mainland come here and buy land, which is okay, but I still buying land just is we're losing more land is how the feeling is. And but then the aloha's shown, but then just to sell it and make money, and there's just a lot sensitivity there, right? It's just the land is so small to begin with. Second, it was taken unrightfully, and now it's still just a big business transaction happening, and it's just sad, right? And so am I thankful of what it is today? I want to say yeah, because I got to come here, I got to meet my wife and have my kids. So there is beauty, right, in the bigger picture of things, but at the same time there's that sensitivity there and hurt, from not that long ago, grandpa, and this just generation or two ago, this all happened. So it's not a long time ago either. And so I think knowing that, and the word owning Oahu as a title, I think all that just tied into a lot of the locals here would
it wouldn't be received well.
It wouldn't be received well. And
100%.
then who's this who's this Haole guy? Me, Richie. Who's this sellout Hawaiian,
Yeah.
bringing people here to own our land
Yeah.
and building these nice homes. Like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
like what's up? Who's taking care of us, right? And things like that. So, what Tiffany's revelation and what I heard from God from the Kanaka was that who are we to say who can come in and out? And that's really a big revelation because there's some healing there to understand that God is in all things, right? And God allows things. And there's just a really bigger picture than that picture. And that can bring some healing, but it doesn't change the fact of what he also said. It is the responsibility to educate homeowners. And what better place? Because if people are going to be exchanging and buying and doing all this stuff anyway, why not be at their front door and educate them?
Right.
Especially people are buying and selling homes. If we could be in the middle to bridge that gap and bring God and true aloha and education in those moments, now the perspective just flipped big time. It's not like, oh, we don't want to even do none of that no more. It's more like, I feel blessed to be in this position to educate people now, and it's our responsibility to educate, you know. So at the end of the day, we had the big phone call with the production company and told them our position that that name just has to go.
Yeah.
That's it. Number one, that's the big ticket item. That name has to go. Sorry. Or it's a big no for us. But the name has to change. Yeah. Everything else, I think, just we need to you got to help. What I say to them, honey?
Trust us in being able to
educate.
Yeah.
Educate. Yeah. Let us educate and give a little bit of narrative and trust us.
Yeah.
To guide you of the things you can and cannot say.
Yeah.
So there had to be do. We had to be part of that creative element because what we gathered in those 2 days, we were not part of any of the creative development.
Yeah.
It was just all already written, you know, and I don't like that. Like, you know, we're a little more like,
I think if we knew, we probably would have.
We
do it. Yeah.
I don't mind like participation, creativity, but we're producers. We're not actors.
Yeah.
And we're not puppets. We are creative people, and so I love jiving and flowing with creative people, and that's really what I want. I think that just builds trust from this big time production company. Yeah, I think they would eventually trust, like, oh man, these guys are sick. You know what I'm saying? They know creativity and production. They're not new to this, so I think that would have took a little bit of time, but I think we convinced them to say, yeah, we will trust you guys, and so. Yeah, but to close the door on that,
yeah, how did it close? Or what's
basically there's a lot of streaming wars happening, and big companies are changing. So there's like nothing happening, so they had to drop it. But it just got dropped, and even the production company was like shocked, and they're going to be looking out and seeing once contracts are signed in this new streaming era. And you guys probably see it, like if you're on like Hulu, different thing, a lot of things are happening right now because it's all new to us, right? The streaming stuff. So big networks are changing contracts and trying to get the best position to, you know, show their stuff, and it's just all that was happening and the timing of everything.
But it was just so perfect because we really, you know, where we were in in our life and the company and just everything, it just worked out. So it's just looking back, it's just amazing to see how God perfectly orchestrated every single thing, because we learned so much through that process that we're able to use in daily life and thinking and just, you know, encouragement to ourselves too and to everyone else. So I'm so thankful for that whole opportunity.
Yeah, we got to meet some amazing people. We have amazing connections now. Like now I feel like I got on my cell phone, like top production company, and that if I ever feel like, you know, we have something cool, you know, again, you know, we can give them a little text. And so I think that part for me is, and that door that was open in relationship, man, those people are cool, man. And, sure. Yeah, but when we got honestly, when they told us, we had a video call and they looked like they was gonna cry. Now I don't know if y'all was gonna cry. I'm just animating a little bit more, but yeah, they was gonna cry. And then me and Tiffany, we just kind of did this.
Just relieved.
We were actually relieved, honestly.
So relieved.
I mean, because we're obedient, right? And if this is what God wants, then we're gonna do it, and we're gonna give it everything we have, and it's gonna be excellent. But I mean, we are human beings too, right? So we only got so much energy.
Yeah,
you know,
it was kind of taking a toll from a
The outside.
Yeah, from outside or like an audience or bystander. I'm like, I mean, I see you guys every day, and I can feel the exhaustion or just the way you guys are operate, and it was while there wasn't a profit in terms of monetary profit. As you said, Tiff, and you, Richie, said there's a bunch of things that have been learned. I mean, there's a lot of things learned, and those are things I think that aren't. You can't buy those things.
No,
you can't buy those things. You have to go through certain situations to get that gem.
Yeah, man,
that refined gem. Yeah,
yeah. It's. I can say this. That I don't think we'll go down that journey again with another company. I mean, unless you guys got a good deal. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Hey, if I could do this for a living and you guys could pay me well, I'm in.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? But me and Tiffany, I think both had this conversation. Like, man, we could do this.
Yeah.
Like, I'm gonna go get a FX6 camera, and we're gonna we could
names.
Yeah, we could do this. This is it's fun. I mean, I know how all know how to do it, and if we want to, we will. And we could do it in our energy and our time with our creative elements and our control. And I think God just wanted to show us, like, you guys are NBA players. You got to play. You got to see what an NBA practice looks like,
right.
And you realize that's a basketball perspective, but we can hang with these NBA ballers, and I feel a lot more confident.
Yeah,
that we got to see that side, but.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this, you can kind of see why we're so quiet in this past season, and that's just kind of a glimpse of what they're going through. There are a bunch of other stuff that were piled on top of that, but that's just kind of a glimpse of what was going on.
Yeah, Ray nailed it. He said this podcast is going to be.
This is a podcast.
It's a podcast in
Yeah,
itself. This is supposed to be like the first 10 minutes, but there's a lot of meat there.
Yeah, and honestly, we could dive even deeper, but
we could.
We just wanted. We want to get back on the boat. We're done sightseeing in one area. But now. Hey guys, thanks for joining us on Builder of All Things podcast. This one went a little longer than usual, so we thought we'd break it up into 2 parts. You just listened to part 1, and we're going to be releasing part 2 in the next week or so. So guys, thank you so much again for being back with us on Builder of All Things podcast. Looking forward to more. Thanks, guys.
I come from a poor family, yeah. We ain't never had a lot, yeah. But the Lord been good to us, yeah. Now we riding on the top, yeah. I come from a